Welcome back. All right, so we're 97 days away from the start of the next regular season. Yeah, I'm already counting down. So I understand there are people who are upset that Tampa Bay was over the cap and they win the cup. But I'm going to say this. Tampa Bay did something tonight that nobody's ever done. They won their second Stanley Cup in around 9 months. It was 282 days between Stanley Cups. They had a short off season. We had that brutal regular season, right? And they win another Stanley Cup. One of the reasons I didn't take them to win it this year was because I thought, well, gee, that was a brutal season they just went through and a rough, short off season. They're not going to win it again because it is so hard to win back-to-back cups. And I know people are going to talk about the cap and the cap and the cap. Look, pre-cap era, it was tough to win back-to-back cups. And winning 2 in 9 months is remarkable. And that's what they've done. A little over 9 months, they've won 2 Stanley Cups. This is their third. No, history won't put an asterisk next to it because history doesn't have an asterisk next to any other Stanley Cup. And we can pick apart numerous other Stanley Cups as well. So, the Habs coming into tonight, they were 4-0 facing elimination. Carey Price's numbers were fantastic. And honestly, Carey Price was the least of Montreal's issues tonight. And for the Bolts, this was a matter of they don't lose 2 in a row. The last time they lost 2 in a row in the playoffs was 2019 when Columbus swept them. So this is a Tampa Bay team that since that sweep in 2019, where it didn't matter that their salary was higher than that of the Columbus Blue Jackets, Columbus swept them. The reality is that this team has just become kind of a machine. And we'll see and of course, starting tomorrow, everything starts to get torn apart. And that's the hard part too, to watch. A team winning a cup and the word dynasty gets thrown around a little bit, and then you got to tear it apart, and the salary cap plays a role in that. And of course, Cup was in the building to start this one. Vasilevsky likes to end series in shutouts, and we're back. And Vasilevsky, 5 straight series he's ended with a shutout. Like, Vasilevsky, when it's an elimination game, he's pretty good. He's a pretty darn good goaltender. And I know in Game 4 he had an off night. More than made up for it tonight. Although, that being said, Tampa Bay's defense tonight was fantastic. Price gets early touches on the puck. There was an early icing by the Habs as well. Fans were pretty loud to start things off. They didn't stay loud throughout. And they weren't on their feet in the third. And all I could think was, there's Islander fans at home watching this thinking, why aren't they on their feet? So Suzuki gets a net feed. That's kicked aside. 3:21 in, the Bolts get a power play. And the Habs absolutely had to kill it. Now, there were penalties that weren't being called in the first, the second, and the third, yes. But in the end, the power plays end up evening out. And neither team scored on the power play. And while Montreal could have had other power plays, I don't think that would have helped their chances of scoring. Tampa Bay's power play coming into tonight was 2 for 12 in the series. It struggled against Montreal. Montreal's penalty kill was excellent throughout this series. Point, couldn't bury one. Kucherov had a blast that was saved. Price then saved the next one as well. Habs kill it off. There were 2 shots. Palat then had a shot right after. Things get scrummy after that. The shots were 7-2 in favor of Tampa at 6.5 minutes. And Tampa was ahead in hits, too. Tampa came out pretty determined tonight. Turnovers to this stage, the Habs killed it off 2 shots. And then the turnovers to this stage of the game were controlled by Montreal. Montreal really played the only kind of game they could if they were going to have a chance against Tampa. Keep them to the outside. Don't turn the puck over. Play as smart of a game as you can, as error-free as possible, and just hope. Just kind of cling on. And that was the kind of game they had to play. Is it exciting to watch? No. But that's the kind of style that Montreal had to play in order to have a chance. So, Habs get a power play of their own. That leads to shorthanded chances for Coleman. He had 2. One of them he should have buried, and the other one goes wide. Habs are stuck in their own zone. 56 seconds in, we then get matching calls. They gave Perry a diving call. Now, there's 2 things with that. First off, referees don't want to give a 5-on-3 in the last game of the Stanley Cup Final. You don't want to give a 5-on-3 if you don't have to. And secondly, Corey Perry, absolutely there were reputation calls with Corey Perry. This is something we've talked about for years on this channel, and for years before that, just among hockey fans. Absolutely, there are guys that when they go down, referees are like, he went down really easy, didn't he? And when it's Corey Perry, that's, we've seen that with Kessler in previous years when he was playing. Before that, you had Matt Cook. There are guys who get reputation calls. Absolutely. I've seen that with Boston. There's times where Marchand gets reputation calls where it's, well, I don't know if that was a hold or not, but that's 63, so yep, that's a hold. So, no 5-on-3. The internet definitely said that there wasn't a dive by Perry, although Bolts fans seem to disagree, and of course that's going to separate amongst party lines right there. Anderson then takes a penalty, and we get 37 seconds of 4-on-4. Anderson wasn't happy with the penalty. One thing referees weren't doing as well, calling those unsportsmanlike conducts for some of the language they were taking from players as they were being escorted off to the box. The fans wanted a too many men on the ice call. That didn't happen. What happened was the puck goes off Toffoli's skate while he was leaving the ice, but Toffoli didn't play it. So because it deflects off his skate and he stepped off, I think that was the right call. Hedman then has a shot that saved Price. Very good to this point. The only reason that it's scoreless. Bolts had a 3-on-2. Toffoli broke that up. Bolts press. Habs stuck on 2 shots at this point. They would get a couple of more before the period was out. Johnson was denied by Price and the crossbar. So Price makes a little bit of a glove save and enough of a glove save that it goes off the crossbar and out. Late hits by both teams. It was a pretty hard hitting game. And that seemed to be picking up in the second half of the period as shots slowed down. So the shots slowed down and the hits picked up. Chernak had a fast break. That was saved. Things get scrummy with 1:28 left. And the Habs alive after 20 minutes. You come out of that first 20 minutes, it's a 0-0 tie. Yeah, you take that and run if you're Montreal, right? And it was a period that Tampa Bay outplayed them badly. So we go to the second period. At 21 seconds, the Habs get a power play on a delay of game call against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Their first power play was awful, right? Absolutely awful. Bolts penalty kill really strong again. First off, Montreal doesn't get a shot on that second power play. Secondly, they didn't even get it set up on that second power play. So again, Tampa Bay's penalty kill, while it's not as heralded as what Montreal's done in these playoffs, their penalty kill has been pretty darn fantastic. Kucherov hits the outside of the post. Lehkonen had a shot that was stopped. Maroon had a net drive defended by Romanov. Pat Maroon, one-man dynasty. T-shirts need to happen. Price makes the save. I'm not putting out those T-shirts because then technically it's somebody's name on my shirt. Like I can't. I don't think for copyright reasons I could. But anyways, yeah, Price makes the save. Vasilevsky held on to a point shot. But that's what Montreal was really limited to, were shots mostly from the outside tonight. Evans had a shot that was saved and decent stretch for the Habs. But then Cirelli, the other way, he couldn't bury one, and the Bolts get pressure back. Palat had one that defends out. Crowd quieted to this stage. Montreal staying in it. Montreal actually controlling enough of the play in that second period that doubt starts to hit your mind. Like, maybe Montreal can win this and force it back to Montreal. Sherrod had a chance that was saved. Point then fires one wide. Palat to Point at the net, doesn't quite connect. Suzuki was tripped by Sergachev, and Sergachev goes to the box. And initially, the referee didn't raise his arm. That's watching right there, and I put my hands up like this. And then the whistle went, and they called a penalty. So I will, as I said on Twitter, I will take credit. Because that, I was like, you have to call that. He totally kicked the skates out from underneath him. So you have to call, that's a trip. It's a borderline slew foot. It's not a slew foot, but borderline, right? So, yeah, he's off to the box. But then we get a shorthanded chance for Chernak. Toffoli has a shot pass, goes wide. Bolts clear it out. Caulfield hits the crossbar. So the Bolts kill it off. And again, no shots for Montreal. The most dangerous of the 3 power plays. Not a shot actually hits the net. You get a crossbar and the shot pass that ends up going wide. Toffoli then with a turnover, but the Bolts ended up handing it back after that. Kucherov defends an Anderson chance. Caulfield wants one from a bad angle, and I'm not sure what Caulfield was looking at here. I don't know if it's that Caulfield wasn't getting prime chances, so he was just firing it from wherever, but there were a few times tonight that Cole Caulfield was trying to bank it off the goaltender into the net from a bad angle. Maybe there was something he was seeing that he thought was an opening. Maybe there was something he talked about with the guys at the bench, like, I can bank this off of him. He tried. Perry couldn't get one in the net. Puck goes the other way, and with some strong forecheck, there were 6 guys along the boards, 3 for each team. As the announcer said, during the 80s, that's whistled down. That puck, it's up against the boards, there's 6 guys there, they whistle that down, they have a face-off. Current game, it's we're not blowing the whistle, get the puck out of there. So it's a big difference. And Colton ends up getting the goal from Savard and McDonough at 13:27. So what's remarkable here is Montreal did an excellent job of shutting down Stamkos throughout this series. Braden Point was frustrated throughout this series. Kucherov had a good series, but at the end of it, Colton with the game winner. Ross Colton. And proving again why I've liked the guy and why when Tampa Bay does have to tear things down starting tomorrow, I wouldn't rule out Tampa Bay being here again because they have a lot of depth in this organization. Crowd, that woke him up. Habs tried to answer it. Petrie defends a Coleman chance. Caulfield couldn't bury one during a 2-on-1. Sergachev had a shot deflect wide with 2:58 left. The Habs iced the puck. But they were out shooting them in the second period, and those face-off problems they had against Vegas didn't show up in this series. And as this series goes on, those turnovers weren't a problem as much as early. But again, that first 3 games just kills them. You're not going to win 4 in a row against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So Palat had a chance that deflects out. Bolts were not giving the Habs any room out there. None. Lehkonen had a tip shot that was saved. Point has a net drive that draws a penalty with 37.1 left after a Lehkonen chance. It is that penalty on Montreal that caused me to think to myself, this series is over. Tampa just won the Stanley Cup. Because now we're going into the third. Tampa's up 1-0. Tampa, over the regular season and postseason, 43-2 when they're leading after 2. In the playoffs, the Habs are 0-7 if they're trailing after 2. And now they're starting the third period trying to kill off a penalty. So Cirelli tips one wide. The Habs would finish off the kill. They only allowed 1 shot. But that's some time off the clock, right? Bolts pressed after that. Kucherov tips one high. He's denied on his next chance. And another goal would have ended it. And there was a Palat chance that was kick saved. That's the save of the night by Price. Now, people will say, well, Price didn't know he was there. But it's a positional save. That puck hits Price's pad because he's in the right spot. So there's something to be said for goalies making positional saves that look lucky. But actually, it's just having your positioning correct and being able to make that save. Anderson was denied on a break. He's then sent into the post. Post hits him in the lower back. That's an ouch. I know Anderson was looking for a penalty there. I didn't see enough for a penalty. The interesting thing to me was that Craig Simpson first says, well, no, there really wasn't much there. I think it was Chernak that was defending on that play. And then he says, but penalty shots have been given out for less. Which, I can't argue with that. When I've seen penalty shots given, and I'm like, really? Because that doesn't... All right. And that's a discussion we've definitely had during the regular season, and we'll probably have that into next season as well. Ducharme wanted a call. Anderson would exit. He'd come back, but Anderson was hot after that. And I don't mean like, goal-scoring hot, just not pleased. Coleman had a shot that deflects out. Anytime the Montreal gets the puck, all 5 members of Tampa were back. There was a remarkable play in the third period where Montreal had a 4-on-2, and as they went to set up on that 4-on-2, the other 3 members of the Bolts were back, and you wouldn't know it was an odd man rush for Montreal. Tremendous speed and commitment to defense shown by the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, Romanov had a shot that was blocked. I thought he played well tonight. I did. I really did. Points line was out for all offensive zone faceoffs, so that's to give Montreal and Dominic Ducharme a headache. Suzuki fires one high, the Bolts then press. McDonough fires wide, and his next shot was saved. McDonough had a great game tonight. Really, really did. Armia couldn't tip one in. Anderson not returned to this stage, and the hits are starting to pick up. The intensity is starting to ramp up in this game again. Not a game that had a lot of punching and a lot of fighting and that kind of stuff, but the intensity was picking up at this stage of the game. At the half, Vasilevsky really hadn't been tested at the halfway mark of this period. Like, there were some shots, but the shots were either from far out or if he can see it, he's going to save it. So it's your standard, really solid defensive game by the Tampa Bay Lightning. So Anderson had returned it around the half. Anderson then had a shot that hit Vasy right in the logo. And that's the thing. They're hitting him right in the chest. So it's a combination of Montreal hitting Vasy and Vasilevsky's positioning being excellent. So it really is both things. Sometimes when you look and you go, well, that was an easy save for the goaltender. Well, yeah, it was an easy save because he's got really good positioning. So he makes it look like it wasn't a dangerous shot. And he made it a not dangerous shot by his tremendous positioning. Vasilevsky's one of those goaltenders. So we get to the Habs not getting shots. The Habs had a 4-on-2 that fizzled. That's the play I was talking about, where it's 4-on-2 and it becomes a 4-on-5. Bolts playing the body a lot, cleared out. Weber had a shot that hobbled Gaudreau. Gaudreau would would exit, he would come back out later. Came out for the party. I don't think he was actually. No, yes he was. Yes he was. He did come back during the game. Colton had a shot blocked as the clock reaches 6.5 minutes left, and it's weird. When it was around 8 minutes left, I just thought, okay, well this is done. In fact, I put the 0 on the board after the second period. I was looking at this game and saying, Montreal's not getting a goal tonight. Tampa is not giving them any daylight. And while Montreal is doing everything they can in order to avoid getting knocked out in this game, Tampa is just not having it. This was an impressive game by Tampa Bay. So, Price nearly turned one over, which had to give Habs fans a little bit of a headache. But the Habs cleared out. Final 5 minutes. Bolt's happy to keep it at center. Dump it in. Keep it at center. Armia with the net feed doesn't connect. And the first "We Want the Cup" chant that I had heard, that I had noticed, starts with 3.5 minutes left. "We Want the Cup" chants should be all night. That should be standard. Again, somewhere there's Islander fans watching this going, you guys aren't fanning right. Bolt's press with 3 minutes left. Suzuki had a centering pass that failed. A bad angle shot by Anderson bounced all the way out and down to the Habs zone, because that's the kind of luck Montreal was having tonight. Goalie pull with 1:50 left. With 1:24 left, the Bolts ice it. The Habs call a timeout. Toffoli had a shot. That was saved. Goudreau with a big shot block as well. So he's back on the ice and he's blocking shots after being stung by a puck earlier in the period. Barclay Goudreau, man, if he does hit the market, and he probably does because the Bolts are already over the cap for next year, he hits the market, there's definitely going to be some people lined up for him. Don't let it be Benning. Bolts killed the clock. That's really what it is here, is Tampa Bay just killed the rest of that game. 15 seconds left, the puck's in their zone, it's in the corner, but you just know Montreal's not able to get it out into the middle. One thing I'll say with Montreal, one question mark I have in the Habs going forward, and I'll talk about this in the Habs video tomorrow, is with Brendan Gallagher. I thought he had a good playoffs energy-wise, but no finish. And so there's definitely a lack of forwards in the Montreal lineup that you can count on to finish this. You can't count on Caulfield yet. He's just learning the game at the NHL level. Someday Caulfield and Suzuki are probably going to be the guys, but yeah, there's that lack of finish, and it showed up big time in this. And again, Tampa Bay's defense was swarming. It was great. Shots in this one favored Tampa in the first 13-4, Montreal in the second 10-8, Tampa in the third 11-8. Final shots 30-22 in favor of Tampa. Both teams went 0 for 3 on the power play. Hits 55-48 in favor of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Block shots 9-8 for Montreal. Carey Price saves 29 out of 30 in the loss. You just feel for him when you saw him there, too. Vasilevsky makes 19 saves on 19 shots. So, the Vasy chant after the game, the fans made it clear they wanted Vasilevsky to be the MVP, to be the Conn Smythe winner. Gary Bettman goes out and gets the biggest cheer I've ever seen Gary Bettman get, in that he basically, he telegraphs it, that, Vasilevsky's done something special, and he has. He is the first goaltender to win Stanley Cups in back-to-back years where he's played every single minute of the playoffs. Back-to-back Cup wins since Ken Dryden. So I'm going to have to go look at that. Because I'm thinking, well, didn't Billy Smith do it at least once? And I'm thinking, well, no, because you have Rolly Melanson, you have Chico Resch. So, yeah, that is a really interesting thing. And of course, he gets the Conn Smythe win. Odds are it was probably close between him and Kucherov, but I can't go against Vasilevsky. Every single clinching game in these playoffs, all 4 rounds, he gets a shutout. Stanley Cup final, the clinching game last year against Dallas, he gets a shutout. Vasilevsky is a huge, huge clutch performer in net. And just amazing. Now, the other thing, too, is that Tampa Bay gathers around the cup, and Gary Bettman was there to be in the photo. Bettman, the NHL, being able to put together a season the way they did, just think back to January. Back in mid-January when this season started, there were plenty of times where we thought this season wasn't going to get finished, where there were outbreaks on various teams, there were shutdowns going on that affected almost I think it affected every division by the end of the year. Yeah, it did. And every team was affected. And so the fact that we're here, the fact that Tampa Bay themselves have had to deal with outbreaks over the last what, 16 months, and we're here, and they win 2 straight Stanley Cups. It is remarkable. It is remarkable what Tampa's been able to do, and again, back-to-back Stanley Cups. I know people want to see an asterisk. It's not going to happen. It's not. And again, the complaints, they're there, but I remember Bob Nystrom, the offside goal. Yeah, so there's definitely a long history of people looking at the final result in a Stanley Cup and not being happy about it, and it doesn't change the net result. The Tampa Bay Lightning are your 2021 Stanley Cup champions. I know it wasn't an exciting game. I know there were people that were bored with the series in general. I know I'm going to see a lot of comments, but Montreal didn't belong there. Montreal over the last 2 games played really, really well. They played as well as you can against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Nobody was stopping Tampa this year. Nobody. They just is. If it was Vegas, I still think it would have been over in 5. I don't think Vegas would have had the goal scoring to counter Vasilevsky, that physical, fast, the transition game from Tampa. Tampa showed in these playoffs they can win any game you want to play. You want to play physical, you want to play rough, they can do it. You want to play a fast, wide open, high-scoring game? Cool, we can do that too. No matter what, trap game, low opportunities, cool, they can win that too. It's been remarkable. So now the job for their general manager, Julien Brisebois, is to do it for a 3rd time. And that whole three-peat thing, which you can't say because Pat Riley owns the word, but that idea of winning 3 in a row is now going to be the storyline through this summer. That's the challenge. And yes, absolutely there's players that won't play another game for Tampa. This is their last hurrah. And, Pat Maroon is a one-man dynasty that we may never see again. But they're going to try to prove everybody wrong. That's going to be the plan. And we'll see what happens. And I'll be here to report on it no matter what happens. But right now, as of now the slate's wiped clean. Now all 32 teams are at the same point. Tampa Bay's got their Stanley Cup. They can have their parade. They can have their big celebration. But right now, hockey's finished. Slate's wiped clean. Everybody's 0-0-0. That's the record right now until we hit the ice on October 12th. But there's a lot that's going to be covered on this channel between now and October 12th. A lot. So looking forward to a busy next couple of weeks, and also taking some days to, relax a little bit and enjoy the summer that looks like it's going to be a very, very dry summer here. But, I'm going to enjoy that. All right. So thank you guys so much for all your support throughout the season. To the Tampa Bay Lightning, honestly, this was incredible. And I know people are going to complain about the salary cap situation, but they really did a great job of defending. And there have been plenty of teams that have spent over the cap, got to the playoffs, and it didn't make a lick of difference. It's not just how much money you spend, it's where you spend it and who you spend it on. And before the salary cap era, that was absolutely true. You can spend money, but you have to spend it smart. I remember the Detroit Red Wings. They didn't start winning regularly until they stopped just spending the money and they started figuring out who to spend the money on. And Tampa Bay has been very smart that way. So we will see what happens. And congratulations to Ross Colton on the game winner too. I've enjoyed watching his development this year. I really think he's going to be a key guy for them going forward because, again, they're going to lose some players. But let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And thus ends the 2020-2021 season. I'm kind of emotional about it on some level because this was quite the season. This was quite the really intense, condensed season. So here's to hoping for a less condensed, more spread out 82 game schedule next year. Feeling a little more like, you can breathe and really enjoy it a little more than I think we had the chance to do this year because everything happened so fast. All right. Thanks for all your support. Do hit like and subscribe. I'll talk to you again soon.